Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you the second installment in my Sun-Kissed series. I don't know if you guys remember the first one, but I will put the link to it in the description. I also want to apologize for being gone for so long. My son was sick for a while and I just didn't really find myself in the right mindset to finish this painting. And so I didn't want to force it, so I just spent that time I had with my son. But now that he's feeling good, I was finally able to finish this painting too. So like the first painting, this one was also done with my Holbein gouache, and the brushes were also the same. The only difference in my art materials is the paper that I'm using. This time I am using my Canson XL watercolor paper. I just bought this, but this kind of paper was my first actual watercolor paper, so it was a little nostalgic to use this again. I was always singing praises to the Cotman watercolor paper, which I always said was the best one for gouache. There were times where I said that maybe it will be very similar to the Canson XL, and I was right, my memory was serving me right. There wasn't really that much of a difference between the two. I think maybe the Cotman one was a little bit smoother, but honestly the differences between their textures weren't that drastic. Now I can confidently say that the Canson XL watercolor paper is just as great as that one. I think this might be a little bit cheaper too, so there's that. This painting I actually planned before the first one in the series, so I basically had this thing finished digitally before I did the whole painting with gouache. So there weren't many hiccups in the whole process. I mostly had everything planned out before I started. The only reason why I couldn't get this video out for such a long time is that I just spent that week not touching this painting at all, because I just feel like it's such a happy painting and I didn't want my mood affecting it and affecting the colors that I use for it. So most of the time I really just spent waiting. The whole painting itself didn't take that much longer than the first one. So since there's really not much to say about the process for this whole painting, I wanted to spend this time to talk to you guys about Domestika. I've been getting questions about them for a while, and I do want to say before we get started that even though this video isn't sponsored, the links that I will be putting in the descriptions are affiliated, so if you do end up purchasing any of the courses, you will be helping out my channel if you do that from there. So the question that I get asked the most when they ask about Domestika is, what is the difference between that and Skillshare? And the main difference between the two is that Domestika isn't subscription based, so you don't have to pay a monthly fee. You only are paying for the courses that you want to take, and that to me is the most important thing about it. I did actually have a year-long subscription for Skillshare before, but I just didn't end up taking advantage of that. So that is the main thing that I love about Domestika, is that I can pick and choose the courses that I want to take, and I can choose to only pay for those courses. They do have Domestika Plus, which is a subscription, and you get free courses on them and also discounts for other courses you might want to take. But honestly, I would recommend just buying some of the courses if you're just starting out with them. I might get Domestika Plus, but that's just because I have found myself to like the courses so much and I've taken so many, but I wouldn't recommend it if you haven't at least tried 2 of them yet. But for the courses themselves, what I really love about them is they always look professionally shot, and maybe the teachers have a hand in editing them too, but whenever they talk about something like the texture of the paint. It's always shot in the way that you can really see what they're talking about. There's always close-ups when you need them, but then you also get to see the full painting when you need to see that too. It's just those little things that I think really take it to the next level, and those are the kinds of things that you see and appreciate as a student taking a course in the format of a video. And then the topics are always so well structured, and while you are introduced to the medium first, there is still always a lesson in composition or color theory if it's a painting lesson. The things that aren't necessarily purely about the topic, but it still is a great foundation to start the final project on. So I really love that. And the teachers themselves are so great. It's another thing that's unrelated, but I love it when they talk about their professional experiences, because it's very foreign to me as someone who's just at home and taking painting as a hobby, but it's so foreign to me how the industry works. So it's great for me to hear people talking about that. And also when they talk about their inspirations and artists that are maybe even well known, but not well known to me as someone who hasn't really learned much about art history and things like that. But I love it when they talk about their inspirations, because I'm exposed to more artists, and it's even a pleasant surprise when they talk about artists that I already know or follow on Instagram. I don't know, it's a little fun thing that is on before every course, but it's one of my favorite parts before even actually diving into the actual course. So the next thing I am asked the most is, which courses do I recommend? And in the grand scheme of things, when I'm looking back, I actually think that the courses that I'm taking are different from the kinds of artworks that I make, because I take the courses to learn something new or learn a new skill. It's mostly always like that, but I do have 3 courses that I want to recommend to you guys, and coincidentally, they are my favorites out of all the ones that I've taken. So the first one is Classical Portrait Drawing, the Renaissance Man's Method, and this one was taught by Michele Bayona. This one is my favorite out of all the ones that I've taken. It's about drawing in the Renaissance style, but while the actual drawing part was great and informative, what I loved the most about the course was actually the beginning stage, when he talked about Leonardo da Vinci, and when he sort of studied his work together. You can really tell he has a great love for art, and it was just so great to learn from someone who has that much passion for what he's teaching. The second one is called Illustrated Portraits with Botanical Elements, and it's taught by Isadora Zaffarino. This one is probably what is the most helpful to me in the kind of works that I do. It's in Portuguese, but out of all the courses that I took, I think I learned the most from this one. Her style might look deceptively simple at first, but the understanding she has of composition and the way she explains how she distributes the weight of the elements around her portraits. I thought that was so informative, and also how she chooses her color palettes and how she explains how to do that. It's presented in such a digestible and I think such a modern way that it was such a great course overall. I actually took this one thinking it was just gonna teach me about how to draw flowers, but it ended up being a lot more informative and relevant to my work than I thought. So if your style is similar to mine, I think this course provides such a great foundation in those kinds of portrait drawings. And so the third and last one that I'm gonna recommend is called Gouache Painting of Urban Landscapes by Tommy Kim. This one is a great course when you're thinking of starting out with gouache. He introduces the medium very well, but I also think that the most helpful part in the course is actually the way he approaches a painting. He talks about this process from composing the scene and breaking them down into the values to then choosing his colors. It's so great and informative, and also this course and the one I just mentioned before are actually what inspired me to finally take the plunge in this painting, because before this I had planned the painting so much digitally, I wasn't really sure how I was gonna approach it as a traditional painting. So taking both of those courses really helped me a lot in finally tackling this piece and finishing it after all these months, and I'm so grateful for that. So those are the courses that I recommend from Domestika. If you guys have any questions about them, make sure to leave them in the description. That is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me. You guys are the absolute best still. And I will be seeing you guys again soon.